77 WABC and Bergen Newbridge Medical Center honor the life of legendary broadcaster and our friend, Ernie Anastas.
Hi, it's Ernie Anastas. You know, your thoughts can affect how you feel. Bergen Newbridge Medical Center is the largest hospital in New Jersey, providing comprehensive, equitable, compassionate, and high-quality emergency inpatient and outpatient medical care, plus mental health services and substance use disorder treatment. The Bergen Newbridge team can address your total health needs in one convenient location. Call 201-225-7130 for an appointment or newbridgehealth.org.
In the squadron, they called him Bullets, but we call him Greg Kelly. Greg Kelly is on the air
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Well, hopefully we can make arrangements. John Catsimatidis, nobody knows the UFO issue, quite frankly, better than him. It's a lot of people are very, very excited here. I don't think we know exactly what we have on our hands. I'm going through it, and thus far, all I see are reports of phenomenon spotted in the sky or in space. Sometimes these are supported by pictures. Sometimes just reports. Now the government has been in possession of this stuff for a very long time. What we don't have are aliens or autopsies of aliens or anything like that. I don't know. I just don't find it conclusive. It's interesting. It's intriguing. But beyond that, I don't know if this moves the needle. It's not my world. It's not literally, it's not my world. And there are people who passionately believe that we are not alone and that we've been visited and the pyramids and all that stuff were created by aliens. I am not so convinced myself, but I guess I should be open-minded. However, I do believe that God made us, God, the same God who made stars a billion, trillion, quintillion, billion, million, gazillion light years from here, also made us. Right? And he made us, and we are more important than anything else in the universe. All right? Us. I don't think there's some superior race out there. Do you, Carlos? All right? I don't buy it. And why are we always convinced that they have to be smarter than we are? Right? You ever notice that? It's like all of the aliens are more advanced than we. Maybe we're the most advanced. Maybe they're the primitive ones. Maybe in 1,000 years, who knows, we'll have the capacity to travel at the speed of light. There are a lot of unknowns in these files. It's just too many unknowns. Intriguing, yes. Conclusive, absolutely not. Fun to look out, kinda. It's also a little bit tedious because, you don't fully know what you're looking at. And the other thing I get is I just get this crazy feeling that, well, the context is lost. Now, before I do more on the UFOs, we have this from President Trump, and it happened during the commercial break. I am pleased to announce that there will be a 3-day ceasefire, May 9th, 10th, and 11th, in the war between Russia and Ukraine. The celebration in Russia is for Victory Day, but likewise in Ukraine, because they were also a big part and factor of World War II. This ceasefire will include a suspension of all kinetic activity. You know what kinetic activity is, right? That's a euphemism for blowing each other up. Movement. And also a prison swap of 1,000 prisoners from each country. This request was made directly by me, and I very much appreciate its agreement by President Vladimir Putin and President Volodymyr Zelensky. Hopefully, it is the beginning of the end of a very long, deadly, and hard-fought war. Talks are continuing on ending this major conflict, the biggest since World War II, and we are getting closer and closer every day. Thank you for your attention to this matter, Donald J. Trump. You know what? I got to tell you, that thing is kind of fallen out of my scan. Who the hell has thought about the Ukraine-Russia war in the past 4 months? As for my promise to you, the Department of War has released the first tranche of the UFO-UAP files to the public for their review and study. In an effort for complete and maximum transparency, it was my honor to direct my administration to identify and provide government files related to alien and extraterrestrial life, unidentified aerial phenomena, and unidentified flying objects. Whereas previous administrations have failed to be transparent on this subject, With these new documents and videos, the people can decide for themselves. What the hell is going on? Have fun and enjoy. President Donald J. Trump. And if you go to war.gov/UFO, it's all there. And there is a lot there, baby. A lot there. So far, I don't know, folks. I would love it. I would love something interesting. I wouldn't mind it be. Well, actually, no. I think it's against my religious beliefs to think that there's an extraterrestrial life. It certainly isn't obvious here. Paul, you wanted to say something. He's calling all the way from England. Are they talking about this over there?
Hi, Greg. Not at the moment. It's on the news, though. Been on the news, but they haven't been talking about it as much. But I'm sure they will at some point. I don't believe in aliens, but I do believe in ghosts, I suppose. I don't know if it's the same thing or not. I don't know. Do you believe in ghosts, dear Greg? Do you? Do I believe in ghosts?
No, I don't think I do. I don't think I do believe in ghosts. No. I like scary movies, though. I like the Blair Witch Project. I like that. What's that other thing? Paranormal Activity. Oh boy, that is a scary stuff. I don't believe in them. Actually, I take that back. They may exist, but I want nothing to do with them. You know what I mean? I don't want to study that stuff because it's probably real and I don't want anything to do with it. Somebody once told me you should play with matches and gasoline before you play with a Ouija board. And, that's a, what do you think?
Well, I think I believe in ghosts because I've heard ghosts and I definitely believe in ghosts and all that. I don't know about aliens, but I believe in ghosts. So really, you know.
You ever see one, buddy?
No, I've not seen a ghost, no, but I've heard ghosts, so there we are. So.
All right, man. Well, my Ghostbusters, that was a great movie. You know, I'm in Ghostbusters. I'm in Ghostbusters, the sequel. I do a little news report in Ghostbusters, the sequel. Paul, I appreciate you. England's good?
Ghostbusters, eh? Yeah.
Yes, I'm in that movie. Paul, thank you for calling all the way from London, England. We appreciate it. Actually, you're not in London. Where the hell are you?
I'm stuck in Trent, Staffordshire.
Ah, yes, of course. Thank you, sir. Very, very much. To be continued. Love this guy calling from England. We got an international presence all over the world, 165 countries. I don't think I could name 165 countries. I don't think most people could not name more than, I would say 30 countries, and then they're going to run out. I think I could probably name 100. Have you ever heard of the country of Andorra? You have, Have you ever heard of the country of Guinea-Bissau? Yeah, that exists. It sure does. It's in Africa somewhere. All right. What else? Oh, just real quick. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is still an idiot. Cut 20.
There's a certain level of wealth and accumulation that is unearned, right? You can't earn $1 billion.
That's right.
You just can't earn that.
That's exactly correct.
You can get market power. You can break rules. You can do all sorts of things. You can abuse labor laws.
Yep.
You can pay people less than what they're worth.
Yep.
But you can't earn that, right?
That's
and
right.
so you have to create a myth that since you didn't earn that, you have to create a myth of earning it.
What the hell does that mean? What does that mean? You know what billionaires almost always have in common? At some point, they took a lot of risk. They took risk. And if you take the risk, you get the reward. There are certain things that billionaires are willing to do that most people aren't willing to do. And one of them is incur risk. I recently heard this about salespeople. Salespeople are very interesting. And sometimes they're misunderstood. But to be a great salesperson, you have to undergo a lot of rejection, right? A lot of people say, no, get lost. You and your stuff. We're not interested. And, that would take a toll on most people's ego. And they just don't want to, and they don't want to bother people and they don't want to. So, if you can go into that line of work, it's risky and a lot of other people won't do it. How does she know that? How would she ever say that you don't deserve $1 billion? This is America, baby. I would love to be a billionaire. Who knows? Who knows? I saw a very sad statistic not too long ago, but I've seen it before. Something like 30% of all people believe in their heart of hearts that they're going to win the lottery. And that's their retirement plan. And that is kind of heartbreaking and sad. It doesn't work that way. But I remember having my own kind of just a feeling, a feeling inside. You know what? I deserve to win the lottery. I'm going to win the lottery someday. So, pardon me. I'm going to win the lottery. I don't have to worry about this. I'm special. I'm going to win the lottery. Ooh, here's that thing I was talking about, though, real quick. Bubba Wallace, a NASCAR driver. Anybody remember the string that was found in his garage? And they said it was a noose, but it was just a piece of string that had been there for 20 years. And everybody in the fake news went bananas. This is like Jussie Smollett, the car version. Cut 12.
Breaking overnight, NASCAR says a noose was found in Bubba Wallace's garage. Wallace, of course, is the only top-tier black driver in NASCAR.
NASCAR's president, Steve Phelps, said he was the first person to talk to Bubba Wallace about the noose. He said it was a difficult moment for him. It was a difficult moment for me.
We're moving now to that powerful show of solidarity today after a noose was found hanging in the garage of Bubba Wallace, NASCAR's only full-time driver who was black.
I like that first woman who says, of course, he is the only black driver in the NASCAR. I never heard of Bubba Wallace before that. And they had basically 1,000 NASCAR drivers walk around the track in support of Bubba. Now, it turned out that was not a noose, but a piece of string that had been there since 2006. But it was Black Lives Matter, and everybody went nuts, just like they all went nuts for Jussie Smollett believing that fake story, because there's a lot of, what do they call it, white guilt out there, right? White privilege. Oh boy, we got all this white privilege. Oh, this is a bad thing to be privileged. Everything went crazy, and they pursued all of these false alarms. And now we have genuine hate. Genuine hate. Jewish people are being mobbed, going into synagogues, academics at their universities being hassled. And we have great big pro-Palestinian anti-Semitic protests that sound scary and are scary. We got mob rule on the streets. Cut 13. And we have a great big yawn from the fake news, or maybe we have something more akin to they agree with these anti-Semites. So I don't know if you saw it, but there were swastikas, Hail Hitler, all over buildings and synagogues in Queens. Now, you heard what they did for a fake noose, for a piece of string in a garage that somebody noticed for the first time in 20 years. There had been white person in that garage. Bubba Wallace shows up, and they pretend it's racism. We have no kidding anti-Semitism, and it's not being discussed. I looked at all the big networks, all of them. Then nobody is talking about this. It's a problem. And if you don't acknowledge the problem is going to grow and get worse. We talked to Dov Hikind about this. What in the hell do we do? I don't know. I don't know what the solution is. I don't know, but it's freaking me out right now. I think we possibly need more help from the White House. And I know President Trump stands in solidarity with Israel. He loves Jewish people. He hates anti-Semitism, right? But let's face it, his plate is very, very, very full right now. How do we get him to, I don't know. And the FBI right now is completely inept. People are fascinated with my phone call that I made to the FBI. And I didn't, they kept telling me, the director of the FBI says, if you see something, say something. Call the FBI if you have a tip. And boy, oh boy, did I have a tip. Cut 3, director of the FBI, Kash Patel.
If you have any information whatsoever related to this event, 1-800-CALL-FBI. 1-800-CALL-FBI. No piece of information is too small. No piece of information is inadequate. We will evaluate it all.
Yeah, but they have the whole thing, the system set up that you get impatient and you hang up. I don't think they really want people calling them. They want you to go to their website. I went to their website. That's a fiasco, right? So I did. I called Call FBI. It's actually hard to even do that. People don't really think of their phone like that anymore with the numbers and the letters. But I did, and I got through. Well, kinda. Cut 5.
To help us process your call most efficiently, please tell us in a few words what federal violation or national security issue you are calling about.
So they are grooming children in New York City. Clearly, drag time story hour for children
Please
is...
listen closely as our menu options have recently changed. To report a tip on an FBI case currently highlighted in the news, press 1.
See what I mean? It's getting the runaround. They could have programmed that thing better. I think it's deliberately because they just don't want to have to go through all those voicemails. Cut 6, please.
The state abbreviation is YEAH space MEW space YORK. If this is correct, say yes. If this is incorrect, say no.
I don't know what you just said.
Please say your state or two-letter state abbreviation.
NY.
If you would like to decline and move on, please press 0. If you would like to decline and move on, please press 0. Please spell your city now.
Goodbye, FBI. Thanks anyway. How about that, huh? All our taxpayer dollars, the damn phone doesn't even work. Just get an answering machine for crying out loud. Be right back.
Greg Kelly.
Let's go, Brandon.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Greg Kelly.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
All right, we are back. Hello, everybody. Boy, Friday is a beautiful thing, isn't it? Friday. Joel Osteen says that people are 10% happier on Fridays. I kind of rigged it in my head, though, that I can be pretty happy on a Sunday night. Remember that terrible feeling on Sunday night? You know what I mean? Because I'm excited about life. And I decided, you know what really happened once I stopped drinking? You know, drinking, you got a yo-yo. You know what I mean? You're up, you're down, you're up, you're down. I never realized why I was so down after drinking. Like the next day, okay, even if I wasn't hungover, I felt anxious. And my wife explained to me that when you drink, you basically flood your body with these pleasure chips, and you only get like 10 pleasure chips a day. You know, let's say you have lunch with a friend and you really have a nice time. That's a pleasure chip or a half a pleasure chip. But when you start drinking, you use up all your pleasure chips and you go into the next day's supply. So your body chemistry is all screwed up. Right? And that's why I was scared and paranoid. That and oh my gosh, what the hell did I do last night? Anthony, what do you want to say? Is he there? One more time. Yes? No? Maybe? Well, fine. Russ, what do you want?
Hey, Greg, a lot of us think you're different too, Greg, especially since a shapeshifter worth his salt would deny that aliens exist. But, you know, I like you anyway.
Wait, what the hell did you say? A shapeshifter worth his salt would deny aliens
exist. I mean, you deny that aliens exist. What alien would say that there are aliens? You want to cover up, right? I'm just kidding around with you, Greg. Can I get to the point? I'm sorry. I don't want to...
Well, I mean, you do these little jokey intros that go, quite frankly, fly right by me and I think everybody else. But, all right, what's your point?
Okay.
I'd love to talk to you all day, Russ, but there's the music, all right? I'll talk to you later.
Greg Kelly.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Greg Kelly. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
All right, I'm trying to find all these things. It's all coming back to me now. The Apollo 11 crew, on their way to the moon, spotted something very, very weird, and they didn't know what it was. It was cylindrical, and they could look inside it, and for a moment they thought, hey, maybe this is part of the rocket ship that just blasted us off into space. And they called Houston, and Houston, how far is the S-4B away from us right now? The S-4B, a huge chunk of the rocket that they had jettisoned a day or so earlier. And the rocket was very, very, very far away. It was like 10,000 miles away at that point. And it wasn't, whatever they were looking at wasn't the S-4B. And then there's another one, the Apollo 17 crew. They spotted something that was pretty funky. And they talked to, here he is, the man himself, John Catsimatidis, This man has been studying unidentified flying objects and unexplained phenomena. And boy, oh boy, John, this is like a Christmas day for you in a way. All of this data that we're getting courtesy of President Trump. We got files, we got pictures, we got videos. Have you started to look at these things? And what do you think, sir?
I have not started to look at them. I mean, it's zillions of documents, I believe. Is that correct?
It's true. There's a lot.
And what we're looking for is the truth. And the truth was always known. There's things going on that not everybody knows about. There are, and it goes back to our previous discussion, when people say, there's no such thing. Well, it was, how did my physics professor say it in college or in high school? It was intuitively obvious that when 50 UFOs were circling the Capitol, and it was on the front page of the Washington Post in 1952, in July 1952. There was no such thing as UFOs. There was no such thing as drones. Nobody had them except whoever. These so-called aliens have the capabilities of going high speed underwater, high speed in the air. For many, many years, they were circling on nuclear bases post 1947 because they panicked.
Who panicked?
I would say the aliens. I think they panicked after Hiroshima. And they were circling on nuclear bases and our ICBM bases, and they were shutting down. And and they were actually shutting down our nuclear bases.
Now, can I ask you though, look,
yes.
I heard this theory just a little while ago about they got upset that we blew up nuclear bombs and they wanted us to stop. But since Hiroshima, we have blown up a lot of hydrogen bombs, a lot of neutron bombs. We've tested them. We've tested bombs far bigger than Hiroshima.
Maybe that's why they were going around. If you go do your research, going around not only ours, but Russia's, ourselves, and shutting down nuclear facilities that we had.
Oh, like Chernobyl and stuff like that?
Not Chernobyl. I'm talking about nuclear facilities that were able to deliver nuclear devices.
Well,
underground ICBM bases.
I understand. I'm looking at this picture, by the way. You were right. I never heard about this. July 1952. And there are pictures, and I thought, okay, this is going to be easy.
And the Washington Post. I mean, this is not Mickey Mouse stuff. And you know what the story was at that point?
Yeah.
That Eisenhower made peace after that with them.
Made peace with the aliens.
Yes. And that's why they didn't do that again.
Wow.
Is that a wow? That is a wow. But this stuff has been going on for 70, 80 years. And President Trump, they never told all this stuff to President Trump.
Because they don't like him
They never told Trump 45.
Right.
Because they just didn't want to tell him. And the last person, it was President President Eisenhower set up what they called, there was a group of 12 people, that were, Dulles was one of them. The other one was, President Bush, 41. He was on there. He was one of the original guys on there.
And what was this group for?
To oversee possibly the the whatever you want to call them, aliens. And I'm not talking about aliens from Mexico.
What about the thing? I hear you.
And the other thing that I know about, or I shouldn't say I know, is there's underground bases and there's underwater bases.
Did Richard Nixon show Jackie Gleason the alien bodies? Is that true?
I wasn't there. I don't know.
You can't say everything you know either, can you?
I can't say everything I know.
How about that, everybody? I happen to know something about John that I can't say because he is. There are many ways to serve your country. Let's just leave it at that. Many ways. Well, John,
I wasn't one of those 12.
You weren't one of those 12,
no.
But you were very, very useful to our government. You'll be taking in this information. I guess it's going to be old hat. Some of this to you.
One of the reasons they say, and I can't verify, that what was it that on the Oswald matter?
Yes.
Well, we'll talk about it another day.
You see, I'm telling you, man, this guy knows. Well, I know you probably have a security clearance and all those kinds of things, but I will tell everybody what I just found on the internet, and there is, no kidding, pictures that I have never seen before. And
on the front page of the Washington Post.
At 11:40 p.m. on Saturday, July 19th, 1952, Edward Nugent, an air traffic controller at Washington National Airport, spotted 7 objects on his radar. The objects were located 15 miles southwest of the city. No known aircraft were in the area. Nugent's superior, Harry Barnes, a senior air traffic controller at the airport, watched the objects on Nugent's radar. He later wrote, "We knew immediately that a very strange situation existed. Their movements were completely radical compared to those of ordinary aircraft." Barnes had 2 controllers check Nugent's radar. They found that it was working normally. Barnes then called National Airport's other radar center. A controller there, Howard Coughlin, told Barnes he also had seen these objects on his radar scope. Furthermore, Coughlin said that by looking out the control tower window, he could see one of the objects, a bright orange light. I can't tell what's behind it. At this point, other objects appeared on their radar scope, and they moved over the White House and the United States Capitol. Barnes called Andrews Air Force Base, located 10 miles from National Airport. Although Andrews reported that they had no unusual objects on their radar, an airman soon called the base's control tower to report the sighting of a strange object. And it goes on like this, and this is a no-joke thing, and I am looking at these pictures. How can something like this receive so little attention? I mean, maybe in UFO circles
Isn't
it
that
has.
strange that there's so little attention, and nobody's ever taught about it, and the Washington Post never took it off their website. Isn't that strange?
It is strange, but it's also strange.
If I wanted to hide things, if I was president of the United States, I'd send over some of my people and say to the Washington Post, take it off your website.
You know, they have something called information operations. They know how to fool us. And sometimes you fool us by hiding in plain sight. You put things in plain sight. Folks, I have to revisit all of my assumptions on this. John Catsimatidis, we thank you very, very much. There is a cornucopia, if you will, of new documents courtesy of President Trump. Hey, he really delivered. Before you go,
there's a lot more to come.
You mean in terms of this stuff?
And he is limited to what he's going to be allowed to put out.
The president will not be allowed.
The president will not be allowed to put it out. He is limited, and he's putting out enough to satisfy the people that he's put it out.
Oh, no, man. This is very worrisome to me. It's worrisome.
The truth is the truth. President Kennedy was going to put it out. You see what happened to him?
Oh, boy. No, boy. I feel like I have reached the new plateau, John. Seriously.
It is horrible, some of the things happening in our government, whether it was the 1960s or the 1950s or 1960s, 1970s.
Or 2 weeks ago at the Washington Hilton.
Something is rotten. And they used to say Denmark. I think the new thing was going to be something is rotten in Washington.
Well, you know what? We got to work hard. We got to tell the truth, and we need the help of God. We need the help of God. John Catsimatidis, thank you. You've set me off with a little anxiety, but that's okay. I'd rather be anxious and aware than happy and blissful and ignorant and dull.
We just want the truth, and I think the American people can take the truth. And you know what Hollywood was all about. The intelligence agencies, or whatever they were called back in the 1930s and 1940s and 1950s, used to feed information to Hollywood. So in case something came out, that it would be more acceptable than not.
Oh, to prep people's minds.
To prep people's minds. And that was whatever the intelligence agencies were called at any period of time, whether it's the 40s, the 50s, the 60s.
You know, a guy called me before about the whole Truman thing. And I'm like, get out of here. I would have, no, I'm wrong. I apologize. This is an education. John, real quick, oil prices, they aren't as bad as they were 5 years ago, yet everybody's freaking out. How are we doing? How are you feeling about Iran right now and our efforts toward peace?
Iran, there's a reason President Trump said the other day, I'm not worried about the skirmishes, because there's two Irans. The Iran that wants peace and the Iran that wants to create the skirmishes doesn't want peace. My personal belief is that President Trump and President Xi of China have made a deal, and that President Xi of China is in control of the people of Iran that want to make a deal. Iran has their own terrorists terrorizing the peaceful people of Iran.
Understood.
So that's why President Trump, in my opinion, said that I'm ignoring the skirmishes, because there's always people that want to stir the pot.
Sure.
Just like they do in the United States and America.
We got those people here.
Somebody's stirring the pot.
John Catsimatidis, we thank you very much, and we'll be right back.
Greg Kelly.
Let's go, Brandon.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Greg Kelly, entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
All righty. This is very, very interesting and an eye-opener about this whole July 1952 UFO thing. And I'm looking at pictures, color pictures, actually, and occasionally they did have color photography back then, of what looks to be, flying saucers over the Capitol. And it's not cartoonish. It's not overdone. This is 2 years after that movie. What was the name of that movie again? The Man Who Fell to Earth? No. The Day the Earth Stood Still. You got to watch the original version of that with Klaatu, the robot. Anybody remember that one? All right, we got to get the hell out of here. Michael, how are you?
Hey, Greg, this is Mike from Staten Island.
This call will be recorded.
Uh-oh, you're recording the damn calls again? Why do you do that? It freaks me out.
I want to show the kids later on that I was on the radio with the Greg Kelly, the big bad Greg. I got a story. I was in the gym the other day, and I'm on the treadmill, and all of a sudden, a Middle Eastern man in his 30s carrying a bag walks past me. He's yelling, Allah Akbar, and he gets on the treadmill about 5 feet away from me. There's two girls next to him. They immediately get off, and he's just yelling this, and I can't believe it. I'm like, what are you doing something like that, a situation like that? Do you hit him in the head with the dumbbell, and then, what's going to happen in that case?
Well, what did you do?
I told the manager.
And what did he do?
He says, yeah, we had a couple of complaints about that guy. I took a picture of him. I gave it to the manager. I showed him. And I'm like, you know, it was like an awkward situation. Like, what do you do?
You call the cops. I would call the cops. Let's face it. You know, yelling out Allahu Akbar is what a lot of terrorists have done. I've never heard anybody say it like, you know, at the gym. I hear people say it right before they blow themselves up. So I think you call the cops. And, you know, what the hell? Was he? Wait. Oh, I get it. Was he trying to scare people so that he had, you know, his own space, like all the treadmills were full or something like that? So this was a scam to get everybody to leave the gym so he could have it to himself. Is that what was going on?
No, I don't think so, Greg. There were several treadmills that were open. And like I said, once he got on, you know, people were looking at him. Two girls actually got off right away. They walked away from him. And then later on in the day, he went to like another part of the gym and he started doing the same thing. You know, people are looking at him. He's carrying his big bag. It's a big franchise gym on Staten Island. And it was just very awkward.
Well, the manager, okay, you should have kicked the guy out. Suspend him. You know, it's not like he deserves to, you know, it's not a constitutional right to be a member of the gym. It's causing trouble. Get him the hell out of there.
It's true. You know, I think people are concerned because if they took action, you know, with the mayor, the great Mayor Mondami.
Oh,
you know,
screw him. I'm not going to worry about what that guy thinks or says or does. You got to think about your family. You got to think about your own personal safety. And some jerk who pulls something like that off, yelling and screaming Allah Akbar with a great big bag, he's like begging it. He's looking for trouble. He's either looking to set off a bomb or he's looking to provoke people. And then, oh, look, you're provoked. You must be Islamophobic. Screw you and screw that. All right. A practical, reasonable takeaway is this guy's a terrorist. Saying that nonsense like that. You know what I mean? You can say, you know, you can say those things, you know, in an appropriate way, but not in the middle of the gym with a great big bag. Everybody knows. All right. Thank you very much. I'm sorry you went through that. That makes me very upset. Frank, hello.
Hey, Greg. Just wanted to mention about the Bubba Wallace incident. Don't forget that they sent 12 FBI agents out to investigate that whole incident. 12. DOJ sent out to investigate that.
I didn't realize it was that many. Yeah, because, well, the FBI back then was working to undermine Trump. I believe this was during President Trump's first term, and he didn't have anybody good at the FBI, and they were always trying to inflate white supremacy and, you know, charge President Trump being a white supremacist and all that stuff. They would have loved it if Bubba Wallace were the genuine victim of racial hostility. They would have loved it. So didn't happen that way. Thank you very much. David, how are you?
Hey, Greg, let me turn.
Uh-oh. Let me turn you off. What's that? Frank in Bayville. Uh-oh. Hi.
Greg, thanks for taking my call, bro. Hey, we need to raise some awareness here. This communist regime, Hochul regime here, they're really pushing back against Locust Valley School District and Massapequa School District, the only two districts in this state that have the backbone to stand up against this regime, where we will not allow biological males in our sports or in our bathrooms, protecting our girls. If you don't know, it's a federal executive order that Trump put in, and this state is violating it. We need to raise awareness so before you know it, our daughters, yours and mine, are going to have biological males in the bathrooms with them. And we got to put a stop to this now.
I'm with you, man. I am with you. And I did not know some of that stuff. Thank you very, very much. I shall look into it. All right. We got to get the hell out of here. I got kids stuff all weekend long. They got the birthday party. They got a basketball lesson. They got the soccer. They got this. They got that. They got this. They got that. It's what? Oh, my God. You're right about that. Mother's Day. I keep forgetting. In part because I already gave to my mother last week. However, my wife... We're going to have a special something or other. I can't tell because she... Darling, it's going to be beautiful. Trust me.
Thanks for listening to The Greg Kelly Show. You can hear The Greg Kelly Show weekdays at 12:15 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
The Marine Toys for Tots foster care program is bringing hope to children who need it most. Every 2 minutes, a child enters foster care, often with only a small bag of belongings. More than 400,000 children face trauma and uncertainty, many before age 8. This May, during Foster Care Awareness Month, Toys for Tots is creating Room for Joy. In 2025, nearly 375,000 children received comfort through toys, books, and essentials, reminding them they are not alone. Donate now and change a child's life.